This cayman, roasting on a campfire, was killed by a native hunter. It made a strange meal, but then Guyana is a strange country, a country of monsters, a country where a menagerie of weird beasts might lurk just beyond the dancing shadows of the campfire. This was the toughest expedition I'd ever been on. I was torn apart by insects, almost died of heat stroke. I've been on some hard expeditions, but nothing like this journey into what I call the savage land.
Right, we're here at last after a nightmare journey. We're finally on the edge of the expedition proper. We've got to transverse these mountains behind me to get to some upland savannah, and then it's several days trek until we reach the lake where the giant anaconda is supposed to live. But apparently en route there's all sorts of other things, interesting and Fortean pertinent things, like a series of caves with strange bones and burials in them, and places where the Dai is supposed to have been seen. So fingers crossed we find something.
The mammoth journey was indeed gruelling. 4 hours by train to the airport, then 14 hours on the plane in 2 legs. When we actually got to South America, to Guyana itself, we had another 14 hours going from Georgetown, the capital, down to Lethem in the heart of the country. This was done in a dilapidated, tumble-down old bus. It looked like a particularly unsalubrious school bus. Cracks in the windows, no cushions, and certainly no air conditioning. It broke down. It was replaced by a marginally less tatty one, and we finally got there after at least 14 hours on the road. Then we crossed the Essequibo River by ferry to lead us deep into the heart of Guyana. We were in search of the giant anaconda, the world's largest snake. Reports of a 40-foot monster had recently been made. And there were also reports of a creature called the Dai, an upright walking hairy hominid, about which we knew very little. But we'd already had some luck in finding unknown animals. The previous day at the native village of Pekori, we'd seen a creature completely unknown to science. So is this a new species?
Yeah, it's a new rare. It's from in the mountain.
A scorpion.
Yeah.
And how long ago was this captured?
It's like over a month back.
Yeah. You want that back?
Yeah.
How that feel now?
The young one don't eat when it's like this stage, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a cricket?
Yeah. Just feed it once a week.
So the shell removed from your back? Or?
No, he just housing them on the back. It's normal scorpion, but he just like days with his keep the young one. Here's a bow.
I've never seen a rainbow boa with that coloration before.
No.
They've always been much more sort of pink or orange.
Like more
colour.
iridescency on the lilac-y side. Yeah. More shimmer, yeah.
Upon our return to England, we found that this colour morph of the rainbow boa is actually found generally in Colombia, which goes to show Even as a professional reptile keeper, you can always find out something new.
We're in Toka village, which is the starting point for our expedition proper. We're going to be walking up over that mountain, over my left shoulder, and from there we're going to be walking across a plateau to a small village where we're camping the night. And from there I think we're going to go and explore some caves where some pots contain human bones, so I'm told. I'm looking forward to getting on with it now, getting out of that horrible insect-ridden guest room and proper in the field. So yeah, should be good.
So you had an infestation of army ants, didn't you?
Yeah, my bed was full of ants last night and some horrible black wasp thing that was under my sheet. So I deeted my entire bed and slept in a kind of toxic cocoon, which I'm quite fortunate, I think, that I wasn't gassed in the night. So yeah, I'm on the road now. This is it.
Fantastic.
Proper.
We set off in high spirits, looking forward to pitting ourselves against the wilds of South America as the adventure proper began. Our first destination was the Taushida Mountains, where in the past there'd been many sightings of the Daidai. We were to be shown a cave where there was an ancient Amerindian burial no white man had ever seen before. It was found 5 years previously by a hunter called Moses Isaac. First we had to climb the mountain. About 3/4 of the way up, Lisa slipped and fell 17 feet, breaking her thumb. She was lucky she didn't fall 300 feet. By the time we reached the top, I was exhausted, so John Hare went into the cave first.
Okay.
Amazing urns too.
If I saw like arms and bones that were cut, then I would guess it would have been the cannibal tray, would have been a sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah.
But I only see the skull, I don't see the jaw.
It looks like it's been plundered actually. Why would you take the other bones and not the skull? So this is the lid of the urn, is that right?
This was over here. This, I don't know what's under this one.
Okay. Extraordinary, man.
Wasn't here? No, this was outside here.
It's the same kind,
A
isn't it?
small pot.
Maybe.
Probably supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put some on there.
Tobacco.
You gotta take some yourself too.
I smoke and I put on there. I'll pray before I can touch him and move this without praying and I get sick the next.
I was going to say, yeah, don't move anything you don't want to move, man. Don't do it.
It's a light one again.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
always happens.
Yeah, I mean, I was just very so. I said, we don't think if you don't move this, don't move this, it's fine. I mean, the urns themselves are beautiful. It's amazing survival too. I mean,
They could peep and see.
it's a testament to the respect of the area. This hasn't been broken or damaged, you know, over these how many centuries, you know. What's the tobacco for? Tobacco is an offering of respect.
That's a good sign of respect, the holy plant.
Yeah.
If you come here without that, you're already committing an error.
Really?
If you come here without that, you know.
Oh man, you should have told
But
me.
you didn't touch anything yet.
No, I haven't touched
But if
anything.
you want to touch anything, you got to smoke that person free.
This is the remains inside the cave. It's quite possible it could be a shaman or a chieftain because of given the situation of the cave, it overlooks all the lands. So it looks like that there's possibly two body remains in here. They seem to be covered in large pottery type urns that are upturned covering them. You see the remains of an upturned skull and a spine.
This skull is upside down and this pot is upside down. This one is right side up and this skull is right side up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether the upturned urn was to cover. It's been deliberately placed over the remains to contain them, because this looks like it was walled up and this has fell inwards. all the stonework. Pretty amazing. It's difficult to date the pot just by looking at it at the moment. I can't see any visible pattern or tribal markings. I'll just take a closer look at them. These are the pots. I've been allowed a couple of fragments from them to get them dated, hopefully. The pot that has the lid off, it looks like the skull of a child or perhaps juvenile, because the skull bones have not yet fused, and also what remains of the teeth. I have a bit of a, I don't know whether I can zoom in or not and get a good shot of them, but it looks very much like a child. The skull is quite small as opposed to one in the covered urn, which looks like a male skull. The possibility is that it could have been a shaman or a holy man that was died and the child was offered as a sacrifice, or it could have been a chieftain whose child or grandchild died at the same time, because the dates are somewhat uncertain. This actual place was only found around 5 years ago by one of the local guides that's with us. There's talk it possibly could be Carib, which they were here around the 1800s, but talking to Damon, it's quite unlikely that it could be, because they would just come, raid and then leave, so it'd be rather unusual that they would be buried here. So it could be something pre-1800s anyway.
Is this how people would, when you mentioned the smoking tobacco to say good plans? Yeah. Just if you have to touch the remains. Is there anything we should do, having been here?
Take a fan with the water.
Yeah, you can smoke. Just drums.
Do we put some tobacco in there?
If you have.
I think Chris has some, yeah.
It was clear that burial traditions were still respected, but other traditions were respected as well. John Hare found out that many still believed shamans could transform into animals.
Different tribes, different tribe in Guyana that normally turns like jaguar, and like the foxes and even the bats they turn to.
Wow.
Yeah, just go like it with their probably their bina is like a little medicine from a plant.
Yeah.
And they do something and just make a turn and they turn automatically into different creatures.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's something you learn to do?
Yes, it's something they learn to do from their ancestors, like within a family, and you're going to find like most of these people, they live by themselves, far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're living traditionally.
Are these people dangerous? Are they sort of...
I think they're dangerous, yeah, because they does go into this form like for like hunting, I think, going like they turn to this jaguar, they go and do their hunting.
Right, right.
In one morning, we'd heard stories of cannibal tribes, human sacrifice, and shape-shifting shamans. Guyana was clearly a very strange place, but it was on the way down the mountain we heard the strangest and most chilling story of them all. A mere 2 years before, at an Amerindian village some 30 miles north of Pukuri, 2 children, a boy and a girl of about 12, were walking home from school across the savannah. Then, what the boy describes as a huge, hairy man stepped from a stand of trees and grabbed the girl. She was never seen again. There was no police investigation. She simply vanished.
Well, I'll give you the duct tape and just keep holding it. Just don't go mad with it. These people get tears in places. Nibbling my feet.
There was a little stream on the outskirts of Taushida. It was a blessed relief to dip our feet in it and to bathe in it. We were nibbled by tiny fish, thankfully not piranha, but buck-toothed tetra. Back in Devon, it was winter and gales were blowing, but here the heat was ferocious.
Healthy days trekking. Lovely blisters, and I'm just letting the little minnows nibble on them and pop.
I mean, this will get a nasty surprise, isn't it?
As the others joked about their blisters, I let my mind wander upstream with the primal waters of South America. The haunt of the most charismatic of all the South American creatures, the beast we'd come to hunt, the giant anaconda. Officially, these monstrous snakes never grow over 30 feet long, but there have been many reports of far bigger ones, indeed ones of truly fantastic size. One photograph was taken in 1948 of what is alleged to be a snake 117 feet long. It attacked some soldiers in the ruins of Fort Tabatinga and took over 500 rounds of machine gun fire before it was finally killed. The anaconda is the world's largest snake, at least in terms of bulk. The reticulated python of Southeast Asia grows to around 33 feet, whilst the anaconda grows to around 28 feet, but the anaconda is far, far bulkier. Anacondas spend most of their time in water, and, being members of the boa family rather than pythons, they give birth to live young rather than laying eggs. The female keeps the eggs inside her body till they're ready to hatch, then they hatch inside her and she gives birth to fully formed youngsters. As you can see from this 6-metre specimen, out of the water the anaconda is ungainly, but in the water it's a different matter. Severing her link with land, she can become very bulky and very large, and indeed there are sightings of anacondas that seem far larger than the biggest reticulated python. Our guide, Damon, had told us about a giant anaconda inhabiting a remote lake called Corona Falls. This was on the borders with Brazil. The anaconda that haunted this lake was supposed to be at least 40 feet in length. Some hunters had told Damon of their encounter with the huge anaconda. They said they'd seen it crawling across a fallen palm in the swamp. The palm was 30 feet long, but the head and the tail of the anaconda extended beyond the ends of the tree, making it at least 40 feet in length. So, we were bound for Corona Falls, deep in the hinterland of Guyana. But the giant anaconda wasn't our only quest. We were also interested in the daidai, and a local man, Kennard Davis, told us more about this creature back at camp.
Can you tell me what you know about the daidai?
This is just it's actually a true story about the daidai. My father told me once that some friend of his from Krasabai went over a mountain over there, just across here, a very high mountain, and it was getting late probably this time, and it was too far for him to go around the mountain, so he just decided to cut straight up the mountain just to go straight in. Just on the other side was his camp, and it was just after a little rainfall, and just as he got to the top of the mountain, he saw clouds and he was just looking at the clouds passing overhead, and when he looked, he saw a very big, what you call it, the daidai, no? He called it the daidai. He said never seen one, and take a good look at it. It was a bit hairy, and he was sleeping on some bush ropes, and he got scared about the daidai and started to run down. He had shot 2 pygmies, and he had them in his hand and his gun sling around his shoulder, and started to run right down. When he meet at the bottom of the mountain, he catch himself and still had the 2 pygmies and the shotgun around his shoulder, and he said, "Oh, I thought that he fling these away already," but he still had them. And he meet home in the afternoon, just handed 2 pygmies to his wife, and she cleaned them, and he went to his hammock and started to get sick, and the next day he got more and more ill, and they decided to call the shaman, as we call it, the PI man. Then we call it the PI man, and he come now and break some bush leaf. It's a special leaf to use for beating, and he started to beat the bush, and he bring down the spirit of the daidai, and they was talking to it. He said, "No, we didn't scare him. He scared himself. That if he look a little more farther, you would see my wife right there." So when the shaman asked him, "Is you alone?" He said, "No, it's 3 of us, but they are not with me. My children, then one is at Ibokrama, and the other son is on Makarpa mountain, and the daughter is somewhere back this side." So I didn't really scare him. He scared himself. He's okay right now, and the shaman, he just passed his little, what we call it, the blow, and he started to get well since then. That was the onlyest die story. Not really, this was a true story. That
What year did this happen?
that was about around the 50s, the early 50s.
Did he ever describe the die to you, what it looked like?
He didn't really describe, just say that it was a big hairy looking person. He didn't worry describe it more because he heard it snoring and just bolted down the mountain.
And you said it was sleeping on bush vines.
Yeah, bush vines, like was lying and his hand was hanging down. And just scared. He just got scared and ran down the mountain.
So what do you think the die is? Do you think it's an animal or a spirit or a person?
Well, I see some creature that live in the jungle or on the mountain tops. Because I never really see it. The next time he told me that his father was in the Essequibo River, and like one of the men, they want to like ease his bowels, and he went out the boat and just hear him screaming going. And when they went after him, he lose his portion and he didn't want to speak. He was like dumb all the time. So what was wrong, and just eating and keep dumb all the time till about 7 days after. Then he started to speak and he said, what was it really? He said he just saw a big hairy hand turn his face away and just grabbed him around his waist and was scaring him all the time. So, like what this man was saying on this mountain, the same thing that man say about the die in the river too. So it looked like it just some hairy person or something. I don't know.
So it actually grabbed hold of him?
Yeah.
But he managed to get away?
Yeah. No, they went after him with a gun and they were like firing after him. Yeah. The sound and just loosed him.
He was carrying him?
Yeah.
So then he was much bigger than a normal man?
Yeah, very tall. You can imagine holding a man just from his waist and going with him, so it's up to be very tall. That's what I know about the die story. It's not really a story, it's a true thing about what my grandfather saw and my father I was just telling you about this on this mountain.
Kana also told us about Tibang, a strange goblin-like creature that was supposed to live on a large boulder known as Tibang's Rock out on the savannah. We decided to set out and investigate. Tibang's Rock was a bizarre monolith, towering 30 feet or more out of the savannah. The whole area had a very strange feel to it, and you could well believe that some creature was hiding there in the darkness and the shadows. Kennard had come with us, and in the twilight, by the great monolith, he told us about the goblin that had given the stone its name.
Evil person will always come and climb there and sit there. Like when little children around this community get sick, they just go at night and you go and touch them like in the part of the body and they get more sick and they would die. And when they die now and they bury them, he go and like dig them out the grave and get the bones and make a flute out of it. So,
what does he look? What does he look like, the little man?
It's just I believe they say he's a little man.
Yeah. Sounds a lot like Tokoloshi in Africa. There's got a very similar belief with a little man they call Tokoloshi. In Africa, they believe he goes and touches children at night and makes them sick.
Yeah.
The colour's beautiful.
Yeah. And did people still believe in that to this day?
The people from right here say they still hear him here and also whistle at night. Give a very hard whistle. Like some people use the fingers and make shh.
That's interesting.
You still give that song, don't you? This is a long road. All this stuff. This is really common. Just climb up there and just whistling, making noise and playing his flute on till coming out to morning for me to go back to that.
Does he have a name? The little man, is he given a name? A name? Does he have a name?
Tibang, this is what they
Tibang.
Yeah, Tibang.
Tibang stone.
Yeah. Does the stone have a name?
Yeah, Tibang stone.
Tibang stone. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Tibang stone.
Why is it? Oh yeah. You know, England too, like in Ireland particularly, but in England we have legends of little people.
Fairies,
Like fairies
goblins.
and pixies and
That is something like that.
very
This one
small
here is
people.
an evil man.
Yeah.
Evil one.
Are there good ones too?
Yeah, they have bad ones and good ones.
Yeah.
Like the stamina, what you're talking about in the bush. They like when you last, they keep guarding you until you come out. If you get them vexed, they like kill you too.
Tibang seemed to be of a paranormal nature, but later on Kennard told us of another type of little man, one that seemed to be of genuine cryptozoological interest.
What was the small creature that you saw?
It's just like a little child, the size of about 2.5 foot in height.
Yeah.
His face always red, always the grinning at people, get you scared. That's all he used to do. It never really like harmed anybody.
Where was this that you saw this creature?
Right in Tokadi where we think we stop out. That's my community. He was in that bush. He used to live there for years and years.
Yeah.
And many people saw it.
And was that hairy as well?
Not really. Just like here and just like a normal person.
Yeah.
And a lot of, his face was very red.
Painted red, you think?
I don't know. Everybody always see him with that red face. I think that was normal. And my uncle used to say, every time he go home late at night, he had a motorcycle and he just wait for him on the road and jump on the motorbike just to get a ride till he went home and jump off back. So he used to get a little motorcycle ride every time my uncle go out and come in late.
Was there ever a name for this creature?
Not really. It was just an ordinary little, I don't even call it a human being, just there around. I don't know what it used to eat. It used to eat fruits or go at night sometime and stole like soft bread, farine from people's kitchen.
How long ago was this?
This is about nearly 30 years ago, or more, yes, more than that. It was about 9 years.
When was the last time it was seen?
That was the last time.
That was the last time 9 years ago.
But he was still around after then. People used to see it and get them scared. Some of them who never saw it before, they used to get like a little bit of fever and they get scared of that. He's still around. I don't know if he's still around here. Probably find another hiding place somewhere in the mountains.
But there was only ever one?
Yeah, only one. I don't know if there was two, but probably they, sometimes you see this one and sometimes you see the other one, you don't know. But just that one red face always come up.
Cool. How's Tessie?
One of my most important but frustrating jobs was to phone back to England every couple of days via satellite phone. This was highly frustrating as the phone tended not to work and the coverage was very poor. To say the least, I'm a Luddite and dislike technology, and there was nothing about the experience of using a satellite phone that made me any fonder of it. But it was important not only to inform the CFZ what was going on, but all of the thousands of people who looked at the blog each day. As with all CFZ expeditions, we go looking for one creature and find out about several others. This time around, I think the most interesting was the tiny red-faced men. Were these a race of human pygmies who painted their faces red, or some sort of primate, or even some form of hominid unknown to science? Whatever they were, the local people seemed to believe them, and they were part of everyday life, just like the other creatures of the savannah. The strange red complexion, was it natural, or was it some sort of ritual makeup like red ochre applied by the creatures? We met people of differing opinions on this, but one thing was sure. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first time tales of these red-faced pygmies have ever reached the West. It was time to return to our quest for the giant anaconda. We we decided to visit Crane Pond. It was a day's journey away, on foot and on the back of a truck. We heard legends of a dragon inhabiting Crane Pond. I've hunted for dragons all over the world, but could this one, in fact, be a gigantic anaconda? This was the toughest expedition I'd ever done. Usually I can deal with the heat, but the heat in Guyana was unbelievably savage. Because it was grassland, there was virtually no shade. It felt like the liquid in my head was boiling, like the blood in my veins was boiling. The heat sapped every bit of energy. Just putting one foot in front of the other was an ordeal. Many times I collapsed with heat stroke. It wasn't just me that was suffering. Paul Rose was struck down with heat stroke as well. He'd never experienced anything like this. Lisa didn't mind the heat so much, but her injuries from falling off the mountain were slowing her down, and walking was very painful for her. But Chris Clark, the oldest of us, by quite a long chalk, took it all in his stride, and as ever, he seemed to be bothered by absolutely nothing. As we drew close to our destination, it began to get cooler. The evening gave us a little respite, and then came one of those magical moments that makes all the hardships worthwhile. We came across a giant anteater, a female with a baby upon her back. The anteater is one of the most spectacular and bizarre creatures of the South American grasslands, and one I'd always hoped to see in the wild. Damon headed off the anteater and ushered it back in our direction so that we could film it. This was very brave of him. Anteaters are equipped with formidable claws. They use these to tear into termite mounds and into anthills to get their food, but they can also use them to disembowel enemies. They have been known to tear human beings clean open with these claws when provoked, but Damon was a great naturalist and knew what he was doing. As the anteater drew closer, we saw its long bushy tail that the animal uses to keep the sun off itself. We also saw the long snout. Contrary to popular belief, they don't have long noses, but a long thin jaw fused into a tube through which it shoots its tongue to gather its prey, ants and termites. The nose is a relatively small thing on the end of this tube. Then it was close enough to see the baby. It clung to its mother's back with its claws as she bounded past. As the anteater lolloped past, she was almost like a celebrity on a curtain call, giving us a perfect photo opportunity before she disappeared into the savannah once more. Feeling enriched by this encounter with this splendid edentate, we cheerfully set up camp. After a night being tortured by incessant heat and biting insects, we rose and made ready to hunt for the giant anacondas. But first, Kennard Davis told us of the legend of the dragon that inhabited the pond.
Long ago, when the cowboys used to be bringing up cows around here, they always get people on the alert before they sleep. Tell them don't sleep too hard because the dragon might come at any time. And sometimes it don't happen, but sometimes it happens. They just hear big noise coming out from the pond, and like the cowboys with revolvers, they start shooting at the song, and while some of them saddling the horses to get away.
Did anybody actually see it?
No, nobody never really see it.
They just heard the noise.
Just the song, and it was like probably somebody see it before, and there's a song it given, so they won't really wait for it to come close. They just start firing with revolvers. And they rest sadly horse while the others firing, and when they like it coming closer, they all just jump on the horse and run.
What sort of a noise did it make, do you know?
I don't know, they never really tell me the noise, but this is a huge kind of blowing noise then. Like.
Ah! Now anacondas, when they breathe, do make quite a weird noise.
Yeah, recently we were hunting over there in the other pond, and some water rats just dashed into the pond, and a big one about this size just float out the water. It's high about this. That was 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
So very big. This pond never dry out, always with water.
So Since in some parts of Brazil they call the anaconda the sleeper because the noise it makes sounds like snoring when it breathes. Maybe it could have been that. That's really interesting.
It always come around 12 to 1 o'clock in the night.
Yeah.
Like when everything actually quiet down and start moving, those hours.
Oh, maybe we should go over and have a look in the night. So how long has it been since the cowboys were here?
That's little in the 50s. The 50s today. Around the 69 is just when the uprising started. Everything just disappeared.
Now this is Crane Pond, that had the tradition of the dragon in it back in the 1950s when the cattle ranchers and cowboys were here. And it's possible they could have been talking about an immensely big anaconda. It'd be unlikely that the same individual is here now, but apparently there are anaconda here.
Kennard showed us a local plant that was used to make native tattoos.
Some more?
There we go.
And this is called llama.
Yeah.
How long will it take to blacken?
It's get dry.
Oh, when it dries?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long will it last?
About 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
More. Try some on hand. When you're making it tattoo, they make it just like how everybody make it, and just rub this on it. And the rest would rub out, but the tattoo way you make it wouldn't rub out.
Oh, right. They put it in the skin with needles, do they?
Yeah. But this here would just stain just so you'd see it turn black.
Kennard's just caught a small Cayman. Oh, wow. Yeah. Got many ticks on it? Male or female?
It was, in fact, an immature female.
Trail of anaconda.
Standing it for reference and stages.
Anaconda track. I mean, it's a giant, but it's a fair sized one. Any idea which way it was going?
This is a to and fro.
Yeah.
So no idea which way it's gone, it's just like a thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traverse there.
The anaconda had left a trail by moving from pond to pond. We could see, from the depth of the track, it wasn't a huge specimen, maybe 16 or 17 feet long. not the giant we were seeking. But from the depth of the track, we could see that this was a bulky creature. Even if it wasn't a huge anaconda, it would have been highly muscular and easily able to kill a fully grown human being. Kana saw a small anaconda, but it dashed off into the water before we could get there. Sadly, this was the closest we ever got to a wild anaconda. Due to it being spectacularly dry this season, we found out that the rivers were too low to take a boat to Corona Falls. We also learned via sat phone that our attempts to hire a helicopter were fruitless. There were 70 miles of land between us and Corona Falls, and we could not do it in this blistering heat on foot. I found the growing heat totally unbearable. I waded up to my waist into a swamp to hide underneath a scrawny bush. I was covered in mosquitoes, but even this was better than the solar torture. When I'd finally recovered enough, after about 4 hours, we set off to our next destination, Cashew Pond. We were going there to try and escape the biting insects. On we trudged, mile after mile, Damon leading the way, and Kennard with his bow and arrow on the lookout for game.
So this is the sort of place you could die in very easily. It's the most savage land I've ever been in. Oh, Mongolia is a breeze compared to this.
We reached Cashew Pond at dusk and set up camp. We were demoralised and exhausted. By the time we got to our camp, we were very hungry. Damon lit a fire, upon which we roasted the cayman Kennard had killed earlier. I've always been appalled when I find the meat of exotic animals for sale in posh restaurants or supermarkets in Britain. But here in the wild, it's a different matter. The spectacled cayman is not an endangered species. It's very common, and the local people do eat them from time to time. So when in Guyana, we do as the Guyanese. The flesh from the legs of the cayman tasted rather like chicken, while the muscular meat from around the tail tasted rather like chewy cod. It was very filling. We came to Cashew Pond to escape the biting insects at Crane Pond. They were about 10 times worse here. Together with the heat, it made us thoroughly miserable and uncomfortable. After eating the cayman, we discussed what to do next. We couldn't go after anacondas, so we decided to go to a settlement called Point Ranch, where Damon told us there were people who knew about another creature called the water tiger. The tradition of the water tiger is widespread throughout South America, and it goes by many different names. It's generally described as having a rounded head, large fangs and webbed claws. It's semi-aquatic and supposed to be very dangerous. As recently as the early 1960s, a child was supposed to have been killed by one. Explorers in the past have seen people with wounds made by water tigers and heard about their ferocious nature. I'd always presumed that the water tiger was based on exaggerated reports of the giant otter, one of the world's largest mustelids, a creature that can grow to over 7 feet long and has, on very rare occasions, been known to kill human beings when provoked. However, when I reached Point Ranch and spoke with the witnesses, I changed my mind.
Okay, could you tell me about the water tiger, please? What do you know about the water tiger?
Water tigers, like this, when you throw pepper into the water,
Yeah.
like they comes out from the water and like just attack people, and when everything's cooled down, eat out everybody and just disappear back into the waters. Is what we know about water tigers.
What's the water tiger supposed to look like?
It's just like a jaguar, I guess. Spotted.
Spotted. Oh. Alright. And do you know anybody that's actually seen one?
Yes, he told me you see a couple of them this rainy season gone.
And what's this gentleman's name?
Elmo.
Elmo. Oh, hello, Elmo. And could you describe what the water tiger looked like? How big it was? And about
a spotted one.
Spotted.
Yeah.
And yeah. And was it like a cat, or was it more like an otter, or what?
Huh?
Was it?
No, he said like they came out to eat fish and
Yeah.
Yeah, they come out to eat fish. Let's stop off there. They was eating fish there.
Yeah.
like if you trouble them now, they like
They attack you.
On their own, they're just like free.
Yeah.
And
So
they come out.
they won't attack you unless you trouble them.
Unless you trouble them,
Unless
or
you
you
trouble
throw pepper into the water, and then they come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereabouts was it that Elmo saw the water tigers?
Well, he was just like fishing right there, and he was in his netting like this here, and he saw that they were just passing, and when he shined his torchlight, he just picked up a couple of eyes, like about 40-50 eyes, and they were just passing. But he didn't say anything. But if he said, "Hey, what y'all doing?" like, they would have come up and attack him. So
How far away was this from here?
it's not too far from here. It's about 5 miles from here.
What was the name of the river that it was in?
It's not a river. It's just a
Creek.
It's a creek.
Yes. And they had a big mountain, big rock.
Well, thank you very much.
What's the local name for the water tiger? Is it just water tiger?
Oh well, some people call it what do you call them again? Vairadimu they call him. Vairadimu. The army in front, and then he come up at last to eat everything what they kill.
Yeah.
But the small ones just go and kill, and he just coming up to eat like.
Yeah. Have either of you ever seen a giant otter?
The giant otter?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot right in
Yeah.
our community right here.
Does that look like the water tiger, or does it look completely different?
No, it's far different from a water tiger.
Yeah. And so the water tiger moves it in groups then? It's a
Yeah.
group animal. That's very interesting.
The first, like the pups come out first, and then the master after them come out of the water.
That's very interesting. Well, thank you very much, guys.
And what he's saying is they come down from that mountain there,
Yeah.
because nobody never go up in that mountain. That's a secret mountain there.
And water tigers come down from there?
No, but if you throw pepper into the water, like
Yeah.
the hunters come from the mountains, and the water, then the master comes out from the water.
And that's the same mountain that's supposed to have a dragon in it, living in a
Yeah,
spring.
he was telling me about that. It's supposed to be like something like a dragon, he was saying.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. Thank you very much.
People are fearful of that mountain.
If it was cooler and I had more time, I wouldn't mind going up there. Hey, Joseph, if you could tell us your story then about what happened on this mountain behind you.
Never met a cannibal before, but it turned out one of our guides, Joseph, was a cannibal, and quite a nice one at that. In 1975, a plane had crashed in the range of mountains that were behind Point Ranch. The parents of the pilot had sent Joseph up to recover the body. He climbed into the mountains and found the crash. The body of the pilot was badly burnt and its head was missing. He put the body into a blanket and began carrying it down the mountain, but became hopelessly lost. After several days up there, he was beginning to starve and was forced to eat part of the arm of the body in order to survive. He was rather embarrassed by this story and didn't want to tell us, but under the circumstances I'd have done exactly the same thing. He asked, "Does eating part of someone's arm make me a cannibal?" Well, it all depends on your point of view. He didn't kill anybody, and he did it in order to survive. Quite how he explained this to the pilot's parents, he never did tell us. Apart from his gastronomic adventures, which made my misgivings about eating Cayman seem rather lame, he also had a story about the water tiger. In the early 1970s, in the south of Guyana, he'd seen the skin of a water tiger that had been killed by a hunter. He described it as being about 10 feet long, including the lengthy tail. It was white with black spots, and he pointed out some cows, saying that the coloration was not unlike them. The head was like that of a tiger, with stripes rather than spots. He was convinced it was not a jaguar or a giant otter. Bidding farewell to our friends at Point Ranch, we took the trip back to the township of Lethem, where we would be meeting our next witness. Back in the hotel at Lethem, Kennard told us another story identifying the Daidai as a sexual predator.
Bleed balata, like the Daidai stole away a little girl and mine her till she got big, and like they made a child with her, and she didn't like the Daidai ways, and she wanted to go away all the time, like back to her people. And she one day, these outboard engines started up and down the river, and she like just get away from this Daidai and call in the boat, and she jumped into the boat now, and the Daidai went after her with the baby and was calling her back. She didn't turn back, she didn't jump out the boat, she just continued going with the boat, and the Daidai, like, he get vexed or crazy and just take the baby and pull it and tear it into pieces.
And when did that happen?
This around the 40s, because in those days it started to bleed balata, and there was bleeding that for the war.
Is balata like rubber?
Yes,
Yeah.
like rubber. That's when the war started in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same time they started to bleed the balata too, because they wanted the balata to like seal the bottom of the ships from the bomb, the magnet bombs. You see this catch on the iron. So they used to bleed balata.
What region was the girl from?
From around Toka area there.
So Makusia?
Yeah, Makushi, Makushi tribe.
Our next port of call was a fish farm deep in a forest. This wasn't rainforest proper, but more like dry forest. But after the terrors of the savannah, it was so good to be under the shade of trees again, and it was far lusher.
Lovely clear water.
That's the very first I like, isn't it?
We'd come to visit a man named Ernesto Faris, a former tribal chief. He had now retired to run a fish farm in the forest. When we'd first begun planning this expedition, months before, Damon had set out to find witnesses for us. Ernesto was amongst them. He had knowledge of the red-faced pygmies, the Daidai, and the giant anaconda. These boxes are breeding cages for the young fish. The fingerlings are released into the river when they are large enough to avoid predation.
The cages here, what are the cages for?
I have some fingerlings inside the fish.
One like that, the size where the otters would eat them, they have to keep them in cages.
It's deep there, it looks.
We asked him what sort of fish he was breeding, and without a second thought, he hitched up his Sideshow Bob t-shirt and waded into the river.
That was the big song.
We were overwhelmed by his kindness and willingness to help. Can you imagine a retired official in England wading into a muddy river for the sake of a bunch of strangers? I'm not a fish expert, so I don't know what kind of fish they were. They look like some sort of ciprid. They were probably destined for someone's pot to be sold for a few pence. Back in England, they may have fetched up to £25 in a pet shop.
Oh, aye. Wow. What kind of fish is he?
Tamaki. Tamaki.
Tamaki.
Tamaki.
Oh, he's going to get really, really big.
Yeah.
I can see why the officers want him. He's not fat already, isn't he?
The other one is died. That is faster. 3 months.
Faster.
Yes. Maki.
Although we were now convinced that the water tiger was not a synonym for the giant otter, it was interesting to note that otters of various species were a threat to the fish. Fascinating as the Guyanese featurelength are, they had bigger fish to fry.
Thank you. So, could you tell us about this giant anaconda you saw?
Well, I saw it in Kosad mountain. Kosad. About 30 miles from there.
Yeah. And how large was it?
It was 30 feet.
30 feet.
30 feet, yeah.
How far around the body?
Yeah.
How far around was it? How wide was it?
It was about 2 feet. No?
And how long ago was this?
It's about 10 years now.
10 years.
Because I was walking there making hours.
How did you stumble across it, this huge snake?
No, it was in a pond.
Yeah.
Pond. Place dried down, no water anywhere, so he left in a pool with water. And, man came from England and he killed it and he carried the skin.
Wow, do you know where he took the skin to?
He carried back to England.
Because we've never heard of that, a skin that big getting to England.
Well, he's probably done it illegally.
Yeah.
So was it stretched out or was it curled up?
It was coiled up.
Curled up.
In the pond. It a big
so it's quite big, quite high.
Yes.
How big was the head? The head of the snake, was it a very big head?
Yeah. Man head.
Yeah. Have you heard of anybody seeing bigger anaconda?
No. It's only that I saw.
That's the biggest one.
The biggest one.
Has anybody ever told you they've seen a bigger snake, or is that as big as they get?
It's only in the Amazon you can find it.
Bigger ones?
Yeah. Bigger ones. Amazon.
How big do you think they get? How big do you think they can get in the Amazon?
I don't know, but man told me that he saw a truck going across from a river to the next river.
Yeah.
Almost big like a vehicle truck. Going from one river to the next.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is huge.
Yeah. That was the biggest I could see.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any turn up here in this river here?
Well, down here you will find it back inside. You have a big swamp.
I just realised you've got 3 cameras pointing at you. That's
And so, although we were to learn a lot more about the other cryptids we were hunting, with Ernesto's testimony, our giant anaconda quest came to an end. But what had we learnt? It was frustrating not to be able to get to Corona Falls where the 40-foot anaconda was supposed to live. But I'm more convinced than ever now that these creatures exist. There's plenty of testimony from all over South America of anacondas 40, 50 and even 60 feet long. There's no reason biologically whilst these creatures could not grow to these sizes. There's plenty of prey and they're buoyed up by the water. Recently, another 30-foot anaconda was seen near the village of Picori, where we stopped, much closer than Corona Falls. We're hoping to get back very soon to hunt both the creature at Corona Falls and the other anaconda near Picori. What is even more frustrating is that we learnt from Ernesto that a 30-foot specimen had been killed by an Englishman. Its hide probably smuggled back to England as some disgusting trophy for some filthy vermin. But although this was the end of our anaconda quest, Ernesto had more interesting things to tell us.
Have you heard anything about the die-die? The die-die?
Die in the bush.
In the bush?
Yeah.
What do they look like?
Human being, but full of hair alone.
Yeah. Are they big or small?
They're big.
Yeah.
But they have smaller ones. Bush people call them.
Bush people?
Yeah. Smaller ones. Their face are red.
The little red-faced man.
And they call them bush people?
Yeah, bush people.
Bush people.
So
what do you think the bush people are? Do you think they're people or are they animals?
I can say they're people.
People, yeah.
Is the red face, is that painted on or?
No, I think that is natural.
Natural.
Wow.
Have you seen them?
Yes. They do appear to people.
The bush people?
Tobacco.
Oh.
Their food, tobacco.
They eat tobacco?
They eat it?
They smoke it.
Smoke it?
Or eat it.
So do you lay out an offering and they come?
Yeah, they pick it up.
Yeah. Do people ever try and sort of talk to them or call them with tobacco? Or is it mostly for you? Yeah.
Well, they won't talk.
Don't talk.
They don't talk.
When was the last time you saw one? Little people.
Around here you could hear them walking, whistling. You can hear them. But you can't see them. Unless if you trouble something that belongs to them, then they will go for you.
What kind of things belong to them?
Like sometimes a big tree like this is their house, no?
Right.
If you cut it down, or they got small pots around.
Small pots?
Yeah, small pots.
So they would attack if you,
if you only touch it.
Does anybody have any of these pots, or do you know where any of these pots will be?
Well, my wife have one, but she used that for cooking, can make pepper pot.
Right. And is that an actual bush people pot?
No, but it's what she bought from Karasa.
But it looks similar to a
similar
bush people pot. Yeah. Are they made of clay, just normal pots?
Yeah, clay.
And have you ever seen a die-die?
No, I never seen die-die, but could hear there's a lot like people in the bush. Early morning you could hear. Around this side. I believe they got some house around there.
Do they live in a certain part of the mountain, like high up or low down?
They live high up.
Yeah?
Yeah. Unless if they are hunting, then they come down to low part.
Yeah.
But they stay high up?
Stay high up.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think die-die are people or animals?
They are just like human beings, no?
Human beings, big and hairy.
Yeah.
When they hunt, do they use weapons or tools to hunt?
Well, I don't know, but I don't know. They use something to attract you. They catch you, they eat you.
So the die-die are quite unfriendly.
Yeah, friendly if you don't trouble it.
Right.
If you only if you hear them holler and you answer back, he'll come straight away with it.
Right. What does he sound like when he calls? The Dido?
Like a human being hollering.
Does he say words or just?
No, just holler.
Like a shout.
Yeah.
Is it like a scream or a shout?
Yeah, shout.
A deep shout.
Yeah, deep shout.
That's a hey. When you say the bush people, how tall are they? The bush people?
About this, but they're very chubby, you know.
Very chubby and fat.
Yeah.
Are they covered in hair or just skin?
Just skin.
Do they wear clothes?
No, they don't wear.
No clothes.
Just skin.
And when you say they live in trees, do you mean they live like high up in the trees?
Under
or?
the trees.
Under the trees?
Yeah, under the trees.
So they dig sort of...
No, just stay under the tree, no? If the tree is leaning like this, then they stay under it.
Ah, okay. So they just shelter under the tree. Yeah.
Have you heard whether they live in large or small groups?
They live in small groups.
Small?
Not large.
Like one family?
Could be one family, no?
Yeah. Could you tell us about when you saw the bush people? You said, have you ever seen the bush people?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, what happened is that probably he wanted tobacco, no? So he appeared to me, and I just take out tobacco and throw it by him. And then he disappeared again.
Right. How long ago was that?
That was... Well, I was actually 19 at that time. 19 years.
19 years ago?
Yeah, 19 years I was.
Oh, you're 19 years old?
Yeah.
How old are you now? Do you mind?
59 now.
59?
Yeah.
You don't look 59.
The other guy here used to live down there with that forest camp.
Mm-hmm.
He used to stay in the bush down there. And he had a job, so he used to do bird trapping and so on. So one day, early in the morning, he went out. And he was going. While he was going, he saw this little lady, hairy, with a little baby. She was nursing the baby under a big tree.
Mm-hmm.
And he keep on watching at she, and suddenly his eye get dark. He don't know where he was.
Mm-hmm.
He looked around. When he watched back again to see, she wasn't there. She just disappeared. And from since then, he got sick. But he never tell anybody. Just before he died, he tell people that what he saw in the bush.
How long ago was that?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
And the gentleman died last year?
2 years now he died.
2 years he's been dead now.
Yeah.
Do you know what his name was?
Bobble Daniel. He's well known to me now. He used to stay down here.
His daughter died recently?
Yeah, the before yesterday.
He was watching her for a long time though, and before he blacked out.
Yeah, blacked out.
He put the baby down. Just going to be paralyzed with fear. For some reason I see these unusual things that tend to get sick. I don't know if it's a self-induced thing, like how you can paralyze yourself with fear and see something unusual. I don't know if it's a self-induced illness or something.
There are some other reports that they do give off like a really strong musty odour. Yeah.
It's supposed to be able to frighten people, paralyse them with fear.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was in West Africa hunting a dragon known as the Ninkananka. There is a tradition there, if you see the Ninkananka, you will die, very similar to this story of the Dai in Guyana. This shows how possibly real creatures are imbued with mythical or supernatural powers. This is a process that my colleague John Downs calls mythologization. There are stories of giant hairy men from all over the world, most famously the Yeti from Central Asia and the Sasquatch from North America. There are stories of trolls from Northern Europe and stories of Yowies from Australia. Some of these stories seem more rooted in mythology than others, but some, like the Dai, seem to be mythologized accounts of real creatures. It is my belief that the Dai is some form of hominid. Unlike the Yeti, which seems to be a gigantic ape, This is much more human-like, akin to the almasti of Russia and the almas of Mongolia. I believe that this creature is closely related to human beings and descends from Homo erectus, just like we did, just like the Neanderthals did. It seems to be larger and more powerful than any ordinary human being. It only has primitive tool use and apparently no use of fire. It seems like a large, feral hominid equipped for mountain survival. One of the main pillars of cryptozoology is that mainstream science doesn't have all the answers, while neither does cryptozoology. Occasionally, on an expedition, you get thrown a complete curveball, and Ernesto told us of something we'd never heard of before.
There's a mountain alligator, no? Cayman.
Yeah.
The small boat, so.
Yeah.
But they have two tails.
They have
two tails.
Two tails?
Two tails,
yeah. And have you seen one of these?
Similar tail. I mean, not like an alligator. The face, no?
Yeah.
And have you seen them very often?
Well, they have what do you call it? They have a place on the way there.
They live over here?
A cave there.
Ah,
a cave.
Could you show us a cave?
How far is it walking?
Just when you pass the creek, you see a little final going so. Is that going straight to the to this place?
Wow. And that's where these two-tailed red cayman live?
Yeah.
Are they quite rare? Not very common?
When you say red, is the whole body red or just certain parts?
Certain parts.
Which certain parts?
Like the tail and the back.
The tail and down the back to the tail?
Yeah.
Is it like a stripe?
Yeah,
or
in the middle.
In the middle.
And what's the rest of the body? What colour is that?
Brown, like ordinary alligator skin.
And two tails. Yes. Is that like when the body it forks like this, like two tails?
When he swimming, normal with the tail. No?
Yeah. But he has you say two like this.
Yeah, two tails.
So he's kind of like.
So it divides horizontally like this, or vertically like this.
No.
Like
that.
Right, well, sorry.
Wow, that's amazing.
The tail divides horizontally.
Oh, right.
I've got my pad. I asked him to draw it.
I've got a pad.
Oh, if you could.
Well, your wife is mentioning tail.
You draw the tail?
That's how I feel about the dragon mountain too.
Tail, just the tail you want?
Just the tail.
Yeah. The plane is very hard to get to the top. And also you're showing what is a long color.
This is body, right?
Yeah. See it looks like it has an opening, it looks like a window and opening like a door.
Those the rocks up on the...
It's just something like that, but not visible from here. But no one has ever been able to get to it.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
Something to get to that.
Occasionally you'll get a lizard with two tails, that tail splits like that. Never heard about it in Guyana. Amazing.
Interesting.
So what's this range of mountains called?
Cannibal.
These are, the cannibal.
Yeah. They have a place called Ganipak of the mountain.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
So you'll want to go and see the cave?
Well, we're trekking through the jungle here. It's actually forest rather than savannah, to a cave where there have been reports of red cayman, smaller than the dwarf cayman, but make very loud noises and supposedly have two tails. Whether this is just some kind of odd marking or we're dealing with some sort of genetic freak, I don't know. Might even be some sort of large lizard. Of course, there's no guarantee there'll be anything in the cave when we get there, but that's where they were seen.
It was only when I got back to England that my friend, old Lewis, came up with a bright idea to explain the two tails. It was really rather obvious when you thought about it. It could be two animals mating. That will also explain the loud noise, as crocodilians do get very vocal during the mating season.
I bet no one's brought a torch.
Ernesto pointed out the entrance to the cave.
This is where you saw the little red cayman.
In there.
And so I climbed into what Ernesto charmingly described as the cayman's little house.
Do you want me to put my nightlight?
That would be
shot on in case there's any eye shine.
That would be fantastic, because I didn't know we were coming to a cave. So, I've got a little torch with me. What am I on about?
Have you brought it with you?
A dinky one, yeah. I don't know how good it'll be.
Can you get on that step there and shine?
Quite possibly, yeah.
The cave was actually a collection of boulders, with a small stream or spring running through it. Inside there was a reasonable amount of room. It was also cool and there was water. In fact, it would be a great place for a small crocodilian to hole up during very hot weather and estivate. There was also a colony of bats, so there would have been food there. I didn't see any evidence of crocodilians having been there, but it would be the perfect place for them. Then it was back to Ernesto's for tea. But back at his fish farm, he had another surprise for us.
One of your wife was mentioning a huge eagle that years ago took a grown man. Is there in these mountains?
No.
Where was that? South? Newfoundland? Like to the way side?
Yeah.
Akare Mountains? Anyway, was it like just a huge harpy eagle?
Yeah.
But it got a fully grown man?
Yeah.
Okay, you're height or shorter than me. We don't know what size you are.
Have you heard stories about dragons in the mountain?
Well, the other mountain you go, they call it down there supposed to have dragon because down there have a ball of we call it breeze, no? In the night, every hour you hear breeze.
A breeze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A ball of breeze.
Yeah.
Every hour.
And they think it's the dragon making that.
Yeah.
Finally, almost as an afterthought, we asked him about the water tiger.
Have you ever heard of the water tiger? An animal called a water tiger.
You have water tiger, they have anteater, water anteater.
What are water tigers? What do they look like?
Your normal jolly real tiger, but the tail is like a flat, like
an oar.
Water dog tail.
So it's like an otter tail.
Yeah.
Flat. But it's not a giant otter.
No.
And the colour?
The colour, they got various colour. No? Spotted, they have brown. Sometimes you see white.
White?
Yeah.
But Joseph saw the white one with the black spots on his skin.
Black spots. And are they dangerous like a tiger?
What?
Yeah, dangerous.
What do their faces look like? Do you know what their face looks like?
Normally like the real tiger, no? But it's only the tail and it's more wider.
So like a jagged
Wider.
feet and a spade-like tail, like a water tail. And they live actually in the water?
Yeah, in the water. Not actually water, no. The dog down they have if it's a bank, no, they got a house on the bank.
So they'll build a place on the bank, they'll live on the bank.
Like the water dog living on, they got the hole and they live up in the bank.
So they're kind of like a tiger who lives like a water dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Do you know how long they are? Or big?
They will be lengthy like about 3 feet, 4 feet, the length of it.
Have you ever seen one?
Actually one nearly sank down in the river. We were going fishing and we came across the boat. hold on to the boat.
Did it climb onto the boat?
No, it hold the boat down.
We tried to pull it down.
And what colour was this one? What did it?
Well, this one we couldn't see because it was under the boat.
Ah,
Mm.
And my grandfather told me that you had a tiger. So we had to hold on bamboo like this.
How long ago was this?
This is about 20 years ago. Good time.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Brilliant.
It was once said that in Africa nothing would surprise, but here in Guyana, this one man had seen red-faced pygmies, giant anacondas, been attacked by a water tiger, and his friend died after seeing a die-die. It seems that in Guyana nothing would surprise either. Then it was back to Ernesto's place to do what the CFZ do best, apart from monster hunting, partying. And then Damon dropped one last die-die related bombshell.
Do you want to just start again?
This was between 2001 and 2004. All my gold mines. It was the largest, Cambio group owned it, the largest open pit gold mine in the world. It's in Guyana. That's the people River on. And they, in one of the pits, they found, because the 30 guys who from the village who worked there, they all, told the same story. They found a huge, they call it a human skull. In my mind, I was thinking that could be proof of Gigantopithecus in South America or something, because the size they were talking about, ridiculous. But they said the company execs took it back to Canada, said they're going to do tests on it, and then they'll let them know what it was really, and no one ever heard anything more.
What was the company again?
Cambio. The
Cambio.
Group.
Cambio.
Yeah, they
Mining.
own my gold mines. But no one ever heard anything. And also there was in the paper, you remember, some years ago, when they had the floods, was it 2 years ago or last year, they found some strange creature and they said they're going to send it abroad to be identified. You saw it in the paper too, right? You see, everybody in Guyana saw it in the paper, and then nothing more is heard of it. They found it, what did they describe it as? It had scales and it had, I don't know what. You saw the picture in the front page or something? Yeah, everybody in the country saw it, but there's no follow-up or what happened to that specimen, what did it turn out to be?
As far as we know, Gigantopithecus is only known from China.
Yeah. Because I was thinking that the Bigfoot or Sasquatch is really some kind of Gigantopithecus or something. And since they're seeing them in the Americas and maybe that skull, that might be what it really is.
You said the specimen was covered in scales?
They mentioned several different characteristics, but I remember it having scales and it having webbed feet and lots of bizarre things. So but I couldn't get anyone, because when I found out about it was like some weeks after and no one bothered to save the whole newspapers, but even down here they remember seeing it on the front page.
Was it found during the mining thing?
No, that was found during the floods. They had some severe flooding in every, places that normally are dry, this got covered in water, and this thing was found. Did it come into some human area or something? A village or something? Yeah, from a swamp into a village, and it was captured. Was it alive when they captured it, or did they kill it, or what? The picture was already killed, so it was just to be identified.
Would that be in the Starboard News?
You can remember which newspaper? Both the Chronicle and the Starboard got it.
There's an online archive.
Yeah.
There's an
I tried searching that too and I didn't
It's
find
an
it.
online archive. Search for it. Do a search and you get back.
What are the two papers called? The Chronicle?
The big flood was last year or year before? 2005. Yeah, Starbuck News and the Chronicle, but I tried online too and I can't get that story.
There is an archive on there. I searched it before I came out here.
The next day, Damon confessed that he too had had an encounter with the red-faced pygmies.
Damon, you said you had an experience with one of the little red-faced people.
Yeah, only once. But it was more like how the people that talk describe is like a little person, not hairy, but with a very red face.
Yeah.
Because I'd heard it before, but I saw it's one of those things that keep in the back of your mind, but until you experience it yourself, then you really believe. We were camping in Paypan Creek, the valley, before you go up to the village, and it was the youngest sister-in-law was sleeping on my left and another girl was on the right. And I just remember getting up in the night, because we were lying down obviously on your back, and saw this, his head was below the tent door, so he can't be very tall. He was just staring at me. Of course, I was terrified. You don't expect something like that in your tent. But I couldn't move. I couldn't even move the head or arms or anything. So I realized I was paralyzed with fear. When I finally snapped out of it and got to hit my sister-in-law to wake her up and look back, he wasn't there anymore. But it was it felt like minutes that I was looking at him and he was just staring at him. It was very unnerving. Never since then I experienced anything similar. But that made me a believer in the.
Did he seem aggressive, the little man, or not?
No, I don't know why he was just staring at me, but didn't make any threatening move or say anything or didn't twitch or anything. He was just staring at me. That was weird in itself, but thinking back, I guess if I had been more calm or something, I don't know. Maybe wanted something, that they did have tobacco with me, because people had told me I always walk with that in the mountains, but I don't know if that was what you came for, because that seems to be a universal thing. They always want that tobacco. I don't know if they smoke it or eat it or what, but just something it's a sacred plant. I don't know if it has a significance for them as for all the other tribes.
It is good for keeping leeches away, I know that.
Yeah.
Tobacco, wet tobacco. Oh, if I'd have known that, I'd have brought some tobacco with me.
I've got some tobacco if you need it.
I mean, when we were camping.
Full of fags.
The way it's rolled up in the paper, but so what?
How long ago was this, Damon?
That would have been 1997. 1997.
We decided to avoid another nightmare buzz journey by flying back to the north of the country. But even at the little airport in Letham, we met another witness.
Well, you see, many people doesn't believe on Kana, but Kana is a human being like us, but very skillful. I mean, he have influential things in him.
Yeah.
He could hurt people, kill people, but many people doesn't believe. But we believe. Like we have bandits and we have this and that, terrorism. They're just like, but they don't go and interfere house like this. No. They go and interfere people like themselves. Especially when I have so much of, maybe I have a jeep. I might go travel to other countries by plane, and well, once they look at that, they're jealous. Well, they're going to influence you by either by their words or by the hand, or they have what they call pygmy, fortune teller. So they know many things, evil things. They have evil things in them.
A cannibal is like a wizard or a magician.
Yeah, it's something like a magician, because once you see it there, then you want to see it again, it disappears.
Yeah.
Is he a human being?
He's a human being.
Yeah.
But well trained in these things. Like he's a magician. Yeah, he's a magician.
Like a shaman.
How do they gain their skills?
He got a skill, according to what people are saying when they try to find out. When he put the leaves so, you cannot see him. When he put the leaves so, you cannot see him. When you take it out, he's right there. So, easy thing like, but kind of magic.
Is he like a shaman?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a holy man?
Yeah.
Will a village shaman be a cannibal?
Yes, they are well trained. But there are some people who could help people to cure. There are some good people to cure, to help you, tell you medicine, this and that, to cure.
Do you get shaman who are not cannibal?
There are some who are not.
Oh, not cannibal.
They are not well civilized like.
Yeah.
Cannibal always.
Cannibal is a wild-headed.
Wild man.
Wild people.
They don't live. They tend to live on their own.
He's the one who can also convert to different like creatures, like animals and these sort of stuff. The same kind of animal, like turn to fox and these sort of things.
Yes.
Yeah, like the deer and turn to tigers and turn to bat, all sort of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the same leaf that he's speaking about is the leaf with the bina. The binner, you know, he just does his thing and he converts himself right away.
So there's a leaf,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
particular leaf you can
Yeah.
find
Yes.
that can help him turn into things.
Yeah.
A powerful leaf.
Yeah.
Can you learn? Does a cannibal learn to be a cannibal from another cannibal?
Well-
Does he learn it from a
Well,
teacher?
those who are near, like, they don't live in a city. They live in a bush, like you. So who are interested to learn cannibal, they could learn cannibal. Cannibal could teach cannibal. You see?
Is it a
That is
tribe?
So it is going on.
Is it a tribe cannibal, like a different tribe of people?
Yes.
Or you would find like the parents and they teach it to their children also and they grow up in the way.
Yeah.
Are they always men or are they women as well?
Maybe.
You get women as well.
I don't know really about women. I don't know. But according to what they say, it has women between them just to attract men while the boys are away. So
Yeah.
when you are away, this girl will they come. That is how women are between them. But mostly the men do the harmful things. Yeah.
You know, they even say like the cannibal can convert into somebody who you know, like pretend to be this person, you know, for example, I know Tushao now, he can, you know, convert himself to somebody like Tushao and go say, well, this is Tushao, but it's a cannibal.
Yeah.
So have you met a cannibal? Have you seen one cannibal? Have you met one?
I have seen one, but they don't talk. That's the next thing.
Okay,
They don't talk because they don't want you to know where they come from.
Okay.
They don't talk anything.
Yeah.
But they talk our tribe, Makushi and Portuguese.
Okay.
Mainly
Two languages.
Portuguese and Makushi. But when you say Makushi, it's a Peking Makushi. But we could hear. Yeah. Portuguese, because we get this cannibal from Brazil. Some from north and some from here too. Some from south. So all are mixed.
Yeah.
But there are people, since we get this religion going on in this country, this religion and that one, it's like it's more coming up a little more better than before. Yeah, slowly, no? Slowly. But still, who are old, they can be advised.
Yeah.
That is their skills. I don't know what they get from it.
We've heard about bush people, like little people with red faces. Are they Canaima or are they a different tribe? Some people,
the little man
with the red face.
Of the mountains.
Bush people.
Bush people, well, they burn like that. They burn.
Oh, they're little.
Yeah, just little people.
They're not Canaima.
They are real Canaima. They are real Canaima.
Real Canaima.
You can see them when you see them, and when you believe that it's Canaima, it will frighten you. But if you don't frighten, it will do you nothing. Because my daughter said, when they gone fishing, she saw the little man standing up, smiling, nice white teeth, small man with red face, small man. She telling her husband, look, somebody smiling, never. But she never gets sick. Because she don't know who is that. But if you know that this is that, you get frightened.
So the little men with red faces are Canaima.
That's what they say.
You said that they're actually Canaima. They're a different kind of Canaima.
Yeah, they're different kind of Canaima.
Yeah.
Different kind of Canaima.
That's great.
I haven't really I saw one, but he don't look like people to me.
Yeah.
When the man standing up, a little red face man. And the body looks furry.
Very solid.
I don't know if it is a short or if it is a skin. I saw one.
Yeah.
Where was this that you saw?
Up the mountain.
Up the mountain.
Up the mountain. And I had a gun. So when I click, what's up? And it done like this. Yeah, then I told my father-in-law, Bushag, or is Paris. My father-in-law said, no, I said, he's a little man. I know I saw him, but I want to prove if he see it too. But he says, I saw there was same in the bush. Oh, it's the same one. I'm in the same tribe. Yeah. So I saw one, but it wasn't really a kind of real human being, but it is a human being like me.
Yeah.
No tail, everything like people.
Yeah.
Everything like her.
But just hair and red face.
But I believe he's wearing a little mask or something.
Yeah.
And this thing was, it had a white thing right here and all this thing black. So I don't know if it is a skin or his body or something.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Can you tell them your name now?
Okay, my name is George Tancredo. George Tancredo, born 1946. Supposed to be 61 plus years. I was a craft teacher for 3 years, sending dishes. Now I am self-employed, doing my own business, making balata craft, sell. When I get order, I make so much pieces. That is my living.
When the runway for Lethem airstrip was first cleared, a number of termite mounds were demolished to make way for it. In 11 of these, human remains were found. In fact, they were complete human skeletons and appeared to be in a crouching position, as if they'd been placed there deliberately. This kind of burial is unknown in Amerindian culture. Damon suggests that these may be very, very ancient remains, and that dead bodies were actually placed in termite mounds that were broken open specifically for that purpose. Then the termites repaired their mound around the corpse, preserving it. This has been recorded nowhere else, and no one has done any further investigation. There are plenty more termite mounds beyond the airstrip, and I just bet that if some of these were broken into, we would find more human remains. Biffo was particularly nervous about going in such a small plane. He described it as looking like a van with wings.
Good day, folks.
Hello.
We've made all our stuff ready, so it's straight out to work. We have a bit of bumpy weather just before Tamari. We're trying to avoid it as possible.
A few minutes after we were in the air, Biffo's worst fears were confirmed when the co-pilot's seat sheared off and fell into his lap. That'll teach him. Despite the fact that this film is nearly 2 hours long, there was a hell of a lot we simply couldn't fit in. The Negroes of the Water, Mermaid Rock, and Wrestling Pygmies. Guyana really is a land bursting at the seams with monsters. The Dai and the giant Anaconda I've already spoken at length about, but what of the other monsters? The water tiger, that I thought maybe a giant otter, is obviously something different. Lisa came up with the idea that it was some sort of mustelid, a member of the weasel stoat family. This group also includes badgers, pine martens, wolverines and indeed otters, but the creature isn't an otter. It may be some other form of elongate mustelid, but whatever it is, it's completely unknown to science. And what of the strange red-faced pygmies? They're perhaps the most perplexing of all Guyana's mysteries. Are they just a race of very small, very primitive human beings, or are they something stranger? Are they some form of hominid, perhaps related to the Homo florescensis recently discovered in Indonesia? Guyana was the savage land, and it damn near killed me, but it has a place in my heart, and I'm going to come back.
The land of many waters, of the Esquibo and its daughters, where the red-faced pygmies play, over the hills and far away, chasing the giant Anaconda. Across the scorched land we did wander, cryptozoology calls and we obey, over the hills and far away.